This is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, 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 down. You're not in the way of you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
All right, so this is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. This is Thursday, I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know what day it is. I'm delirious. But first thing I want to do is a sound check. So anybody who's watching, and one of you guys in the feed, let me know if people giving thumbs up to the sound check. And if we are good there, then we're good to go. All right, so.
What you see, Vincent? What you see? Can we be heard? Can you hear us out there?
Hello, anybody listening?
But Eric, that intro that you do with is she a congresswoman?
Ayanna Pressley. Yeah.
It's interesting because she talks about no black faces that aren't going to be representing black people, and if you're scared, don't come. But it actually works on the other side of the table too, because Donald Trump has been the voice for white racist people. He's been doing exactly what they
elected him to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So he stood up for this. Why is it that we don't get our Democrats, supposedly our Democrats, and people that look like us to do the same? Why all of this time, all these years, have people been so scared to really speak out and fight for their own?
Oh, Farrakhan says he hears us. Great. Well, because Diane, I'll tell you, and you want to go first, Vincent?
No, go ahead. We're probably going to say the thing.
Yeah, we have never valued our vote, Diane. We've always just understand the genesis. The genesis is we were brought here to be the commodity to the wealth and power of the corporation of white supremacy. So let's start there. Let's stay in that space, right? So now, think about a dog. When you buy a dog or rescue a dog, I prefer rescuing dogs, but I'm not gonna criticize somebody who purchases a puppy. But you purchase a dog, you get it, you bring it home. That dog you're bringing home to serve you, right, in whatever manner you want. Like, so you may just want a companion, somebody's not talking back. You want unconditional love. Whatever it is you want, you're getting that dog because you have a want. And now you're going to train that dog to provide exactly what it is you want. You're going to feed the dog, you're going to do all these things, but you're going to train the dog, you're going to condition the dog. And so when freed Africans were brought here and enslaved, there was an understanding by those who were enslaving them what they wanted, right? And so if you read the Willie Lynch letters, The Making of a Slave, right, talks about it clearly, that there was intentional conditioning to deliver a desired result. And so now let's fast forward 400 years. They see it. Here's the result. Now, Donald Trump's folks, they weren't conditioned like that. They know what they want. They're independent thinkers, for the most part. So they see themselves and they have value. And so when they go to vote, they're listening with their ears to what somebody has to say about what they're going to do specifically for them. We have historically fought, whether it's in wars, right, or in political fights, for somebody else. And because that has been our history, right, there is a firm belief by some that history is going to repeat itself. That's my answer.
Vincent?
Well, I agree with Eric said, but I'd like to add to that. Taking it past the history, what it has become, or the model now, is the black vote has never been, the black vote has never been 100% on the same track. The fact the most that we've ever had was 1890, where 74% of the population voted for one particular thing. The only thing that the black vote has had a great majority on is voting Democrat. However, politicians cannot get elected solely on the black vote. So they cross and blur the line. They speak black issues when they're around black people, but then they speak, white power and rule when they're around white people to get the vote. The black vote has always been the invisible vote. And like you said, without that solid stand-up representation, we have consistently gotten very little in terms of progress. The other issue is that they don't represent solely a black vote is because of the propaganda that was spread out in the Reconstruction period, where, remember I said we had that high number of blacks being unilaterally? We also had a high number of blacks in office, and whites have been pushing back against black rule or govern. And they've been saying that, we can't govern ourselves, we're not sophisticated enough, we can't control ourselves, so how can we control an entire or diverse group? So that is what we have been getting. But now, and thank God, I'm sorry for the incident that happened. COVID-19, Eric Floyd, Brianna, those incidents are waking people up to what we have just been lulled into a false sense of existence. Everybody is sick and tired of being a second class, in fact, third class, because there are more laws protecting your dog.
See, that's where I disagree. But see, that's where I jump out of the car. Vincent just made a hard left, Diane. Door flew open, and I jumped out. See, I don't think that people are sick and tired. I think much like I think that people are jumping on a bandwagon, right? And they're emotionalizing an issue, but I don't think that they're sick and tired. I think they did that they're literally just jumping on a band, much like a mob, right? It starts off and people just get it, and then sometimes people, or like if you see 15 people run, all of a sudden you'll see 100 people run, and then it will grow exponentially, and 1,000 people will run, and then somebody will say, what are we running for? I don't know, because everybody else is running. And I think that is what's happening now, that people are like, yeah, man, let's go hang out down there. Well, what are we going to do? Everybody else is going down there. Let's go see what's going on. And I think that's what you see the majority of. Now, I think that we want it to be something deeper than that, right? We want people to be woke. We want people to now be conscious. But I'm telling you, Black Americans are in such a 400-year slumber. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe. Listen, I'm going to say to you this. They saw on television, Black Americans, on television, this country unleash dogs on black people on television. They saw fire hoses turned on people. Then they saw a man, Dr. Martin Luther King, fighting against all of that. And black people turned their back on him. See, we got to stay. I'm concerned, deeply concerned that we don't emote, that we hope, but we be cautious about what it is that we see. Because the Corporation of White Supremacy is brilliant. They'll show you all of this. They'll make you believe it all. They'll make you believe that black people finally care because they're getting something when they're getting nothing. Nothing.
Let me counterpoint that. First and foremost, there is a group, there is that solid group, or that small percentage that is enlightened and in focus and setting the pace and direction. And yes, when you have an actual cause or mantra, a lot of people do follow. But on the situation with 50 years ago, when they were setting the water hoses on and the dogs on, and black people turned their back because a lot of them were afraid of getting hit. What that did do, because it was broadcast on television, is that it empowered a lot of white people to get into that fight.
I'm not disagreeing, Vincent. Listen, I am not
No.
I understand your point.
Eric, please let me finish, please. Now that we are at this point where there are black and white people motivated for this, and it is emotional because when Vincent,
listen, history's on my side. History's on my side. Look at where black people were in 1952. Look at where black people are now. As a whole. Let's not look, like I said, let us not look anecdotally, like, Eric's family or Vincent's family or Diane's family. I'm saying as a whole, look at where we are. You see, and I'm saying that there have been these ebbs and flows of emotionalism and tragedy and murder and all these things. Listen, people, when Rodney King and black folks thought that was it, right? Like, oh my God, finally, we got it on video. We got a black man getting his ass whooped by the cops on video. We've been saying it, y'all. See, we've been saying it. Y'all been denying it. But look, it's right there. They burned down cities. Right? And then you just talked about some black folks who... No. Now you wait. Let me finish. Okay. Now you just mentioned a whole bunch of black folk who either got choked out, got shot, got strangled with a knee on the neck. This is how many decades after Rodney King? Right? And how many cities burned down? And how many hundreds of thousands of people across America marched? See, there was this thought that, we finally had enough. We finally had enough. When Eric Garner, we finally had enough. When what's the guy in Ferguson? We finally had enough. See, we jump to it and we become emotionalized. And I'm telling you, I don't believe they finally had enough. It's just another march, just another rally for some people. They were happy to be down in Washington.
It's not just another march.
Okay.
I don't believe it is just another march. I don't believe it is just another rally.
Gotcha.
What I believe is that we have now come to the point where a lot of our younger generations, because now we're dealing with another group that are not afraid to stand up and to speak out.
Okay.
We've got a younger generation who feel rather die free than live a slave.
How old was Martin Luther King? Dr. Martin Luther King? 29, right? He was young. How old was Stokely Carmichael? See, history is on my side. See, people make this assumption that those guys were old. They weren't old. They were trying to pull old people along with them.
Right. But they didn't do it by pulling the old people along with the young people. Just like this movement right now, it's our young people.
Yeah. Call it go.
To Christian Vincent on the point, and I'm totally with you, Eric, on this one. Right? I gotta say this: where have black people changed? Where have black people done something different than they've always done? If you want to say black folks are taking time, I still see dirty inner cities.
There you go.
I still see left and right.
Yep.
I still see murders every day.
Yep.
So I want to know where the black man and woman have decided that you're sick and tired of our situation and begun to change the situation. Because jumping into protest, rioting and looting, we've done that always. Now show me, and I'm waiting, right, when you said, because you're about to say something about the young people, right? It was the young people doing it in 1960-something. It wasn't 45-year-old men out burning up after Martin Luther King got killed. Or even before then, right? With all the other ones that have previous to his death, okay? It wasn't old people. It was young people doing it. So those young people are themselves, right? So if that's the case, what has been done different? Right? Because what you said is it's young people doing it now. But what I'm saying is young people have always done it. So what is different today?
Farrakhan, that's what we already stated, that it was the young people. It was the young people that made the movement. It's the young people that...
No, but I want you to answer Farrakhan's question. Answer his question. What are the key performance indicators? No, yeah, what are... Vincent.
You want to know where have we changed?
Yeah.
So give me a time period in which you want to see the change from to where?
Well, tell me about Filthy Streets.
I want to see it today. What's wrong with you? Are you drinking as you're doing this? I want to see where you're telling me that people are changing today.
Today.
I want to hear when you're telling me people today say, my community is going to be cleaner. That there ain't going to be no drugs sold on my corner. That the person who sells drugs says, I got to find another way. That's the change.
Let me answer that. First and foremost, because they predominantly stay in the black neighborhood. Now, in terms of change is what you're addressing, we have seen lots of changes since the 50s. We have seen blacks move up or take incremental steps in terms of financial. We have seen
Wait a minute, racial wealth gap has grown.
Can I please
'Cause you-
answer a question without interrupting?
No, but we need facts, Vincent.
Eric's just gonna get mad at me when I say this, but no, you can't answer the question because you're talking bullshit.
Yeah, you gotta talk facts though, Vincent.
And you poison in my ears with it.
Vincent, you gotta talk facts. When you say that black people, when you say that,
That's wrong.
yes, Vincent,
Black America has lost
Vincent.
since 1965.
Vincent,
They're not saying.
when you say,
Property ownership.
The only you keep drinking that propaganda Kool-Aid and believing that all the blacks have been doing nothing since
No,
slavery.
that's not what we're saying. Not what we're saying.
But you can't tell me that black people are not made for good. You can't tell me that we haven't done it.
Vincent,
And that show back up. I want you to show me one thing in which it says black people have made
Well, no.
It is okay, hold on.
Okay, do we have a black class, an upper black middle class, and some in the 6%?
wait a minute. To stop, Farrakhan. No, Farrakhan.
Of this country. The
Farrakhan.
wealthiest blacks in this country still rank in the
No, that's not a question. The question is, do we have it?
Wait a minute, Farrakhan. Okay, stop. Farrakhan, wait a minute. Don't chase him down this rabbit hole. This is what I'm gonna say to you, Vincent, and this is where I think the danger is. And just bear with me for a minute. It's kind of like you got two people racing. Well, I'm gonna be more specific. You got a white man and a black man, right? And the white man's it's a 100-yard race, and the white man's on a 20-yard line, and the black man is on the 1-yard line. So he's got a 19-yard head start, right? And then the government says, you know what? We're going to move you, black man, to the 20-yard line, right? So everybody goes, oh, that's advancement. But then they say, hey, white man, we're going to move you to the 50-yard line. See, now we ignore, do you want to ignore that they moved him to the 50-yard line? And you want me to focus on the fact that I'm on the 20-yard line and call that an advancement. But what I'm saying, and I think what Farrakhan is saying, we're still 30 yards behind. That's what I'm focusing on. You want me to say, hey, wait a minute, let me finish, Vincent. You want me to say, hey, you used to be on the 1-yard line. Now you're on the 20-yard line. I'm like, no. But it's all relative, Vincent. See, because he's now on the 50-yard line. And that's what I think that we're trying to say.
Well, I do not dispute that. And I agree with that 100%. But what I am saying is this. No, it has not been a level playing field. But yes, we have moved the needle.
And so have they. But so have they. So in comparison, we're further behind them. Yeah, we're not where we were before, but we're nowhere near being closer to them than we were before. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Listen.
Nobody is debating that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we have changed, we have grown, and we have moved the needle. What I'm saying is this, because I never get to finish it, we have made some strides. Now that this movement is taking place, people are now becoming enlightened and pushing for equality to move it further. I believe that the black people or the black race can do extraordinary things. Once we and see we are right now. Once we push for equality.
Okay, now here's the problem. Vincent, this is where you're right. This is where I agree with wrong. Okay, one, you're right. We have a product in humanity, I should say, society. The problem is, all rising tides raise all boats, and that's the line that they use for us. The problem is it doesn't change the distance. It just raises us. So if you were, Eric said, if you're 50 yards ahead of me, you stay 50 yards ahead. I just come up a little bit on the roster, right? I come up a little bit down in the seat. I'm still in the same spot to the other guy. Now, to what you just said about equality, forget about equality. We've had it since 1963, right? At least, right? What we don't have is parity, and what we want is parity. We want to be able to say that if 14% of the good things happen in America for anybody, because we're 14% of the population, we should get 14% of what's good. We are saying like not 1%. You understand? And that's where we're at. we're in a position as Black America, and I'm not speaking for white people because I'm not white. Okay, I don't want to talk about how many white trailer parks there are because I ain't never lived in them. Okay, I'm going to talk about the inner city because I've lived in it. And I'm going to talk about where Black people are because I've been there. Okay, and in those spaces, we're in the same position in relation to white America. Now, you can argue it all you want, but if I'm wrong, I want you to be the Google guy that you are, and I want you to show me where parity in this country, and that's how white America judges it. See, white America does not care about equality. Okay, white America cares about, do you got what I got? If you got what I got, we got a problem. And that's what they're trying to stop. They don't want you to have their education. They don't want you to have their health care. They don't want you to have their same zip code. See, that's what they don't want. Okay, they don't want
here's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and let's make this perfectly clear. One, I'm not the Google guy. The second thing, being a black man, I'm not going to give you the white version of what they want a black man to be. And third, I don't give a damn if they don't want me to have. What I do give a damn about is what I'm going to get.
Okay. And so what I'm saying is this. That's emotional, right? Because now you as an individual, wait a minute, you as an individual, yep, I got you. I'm saying as a team, Vincent, I'm saying there are no performance indicators that suggest to me that this is any different than any other emotionally charged movement, if you want to call it a movement. It's going to fizzle out. I have every faith. And it's sad for me to say it, but I do. Listen, I was riding through Newark yesterday. We actually, Farrakhan, we passed your barbershop and we drove down 14th Avenue. And I just said, look at this. I said, there is zero hope for them. Zero hope. And if you drive down there, you understand why people are making large investments in the prison industrial complex. You understand it. Because you look and go, they're not getting out of here. And any person, any politician who sells them a line of shit, you got maybe 2% is the number that was given to me that might get out. 99%, you got the people rolling their dice on that. 98% rather wind up somewhere in the prison system, and that's why they're making these investments. And so I don't see, like Farrakhan said, if you want to make a change, if they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, I said this too in the Million Man March. When all those black men went down to Washington, I said, okay, let's see how many of them come back to the neighborhoods. Right? They sold shirts down there. They sold all kind of stuff. Some people made lots of money. I know some people made lots of money down there, right? Capitalizing on the emotionalism of what was taking place. But those folks came back to their neighborhoods and did nothing. Nothing.
That part for me is not true, because I've seen people who went to the Million Man March, came back to their neighborhoods, changed individuals. They've made some great progress.
Yeah, that's anecdotal, right? So I know Fred that came back and did something. I know Mary who came back and did something. I know Farrakhan, right, came back and did something. I could talk about those individuals. I'm saying, that's like saying Michael Jordan scored 63 points but they lost the champ. They didn't win the championship. You're saying, here, go look at the stats. We got X number of millionaires or billionaires. We got this, that, and the other. I can go look at those stats, but I say the team, we ain't got no ring.
Okay. Hey, well, listen. But here is, and thank you for my point, Eric. Here is the thing. Right now, we are moving as a team.
No, we're not. We're moving as a mob. We're moving as a mob.
That's not a mob, a group of individuals focused on a particular purpose.
No, let's understand the purpose. Let's understand the purpose. See, let's understand the purpose. What do you think purpose is, Vincent, that they're moving under?
Okay, the mob the group in which you have basically called a mob.
I know, I didn't basically call them a mob. I called them a mob.
Okay, well, the group that your purpose is not their purpose to protest against the injustice and inequality of blacks.
Honestly,
with the police.
We're being real on Thursday, right? No, I think that the majority of them are just there.
No. They aren't the people who are there.
No, I think the majority. No. I was very specific in what I said. The majority of people are just there. They're just showing up because they want to be there, and they got their cell phones out and they're taking selfies. See, Vincent, I can't suck the Kool-Aid.
I cannot. One, seek the mindset of why people are there.
Well, you just did. You told me why they were there.
No. I see something so different. I see people with Black Lives Matter posters. I see people saying no charity, no peace.
Sure.
I see people doing a lot more than taking selfies, looting, and rioting.
No, I didn't say looting and rioting. Vincent, have you ever been to a rally? Have you ever been to a rally?
Yeah.
Okay, they hand you posters.
I've been to 8.
Okay, fine. I don't. But they hand you posters, right? They hand you shirts. Vincent, stop it. Vincent, stop it. Vincent, stop it. Vincent, stop it.
I've seen some people. In fact, I even asked, and he said, "No, I just made this for my."
No. See, that's Vincent. I'm not saying that everybody was handed a poster. Yes, and they got their own posters, but there are people there who are handing posters. They are handing them those sheets of paper that have those rally cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think we're here for? Right? Right. They get a sheet of paper. So as they come into these different areas into the rally, there are people who hand them a piece of paper, say this is what we're going to do, and there are people who hand the shirts or hand them if they're going to be in the front of the line or wherever they're going to be positioned where they believe the cameras are going to be. I've been to enough of them, Vincent, right? They say hold it up, camera shows, hold it up, and those people are just happy to be there.
Well, there are people. Well, that's you. I don't know.
The majority.
What you call that? I don't know what you call that, but I call that being organized.
No, I don't know.
I call
Vincent,
that giving the team. No, Eric.
Go ahead.
I call that preparing your team.
Okay.
For what.
But here's what I'm saying, Vincent, is when the person gives the poster back at the end of the rally, and they go back to their dirty, filthy street where the drug dealer's selling drugs on the corner and the prostitute's turning tricks in a broken down car that's up on cinder blocks, I'm saying they didn't care that Black Lives Matter. That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. So they left the rally, they gave back the sign, the school system to be miseducated yet again. And you're telling me somehow, things are going to change. And I'm saying it's more of the same. And if I sound cynical,
well, I'm 58.
Yeah, you got a year on me.
And I'm saying this. May not be the entirety or totality of people who went to these rallies. It may not be the entirety or totality of people who got these posters and shirts. But some people have went home. And after being motivated by, motivated by the action, have now taken stance to changing parts of their community.
Sure they have. I'm not that. I see, Vincent. I don't know that you're listening to me. I don't think you're listening to me. I think that some of them are, but I'm saying the majority are not. And so when you talk about this movement, like if I went, right, I'd come back and I used to go to these things, right? I used to. Been steeped in politics and political movements and social justice stuff almost all my life, right? So I used to go and I used to believe, right? And then slowly I look and say, they're full of shit. They full of shit. Because we come back and nothing happened. Let's go down there, man. Then all of a sudden you turn around and dude is taking flight in the wind. And you out there fighting by yourself. And you do it again and again. And then at some point you learn your lesson, right? And then when the guy says, come on, man, let's go. And you say, you go first. You go first. See, I've been there, right? You go first.
If you're smart, you learn how to fight better.
No. You learn a different fight, Vincent. So now I've learned a different fight. I don't go down that alley anymore. See, I've learned a different fight. But I'm not going.
But that's Eric. Eric is a very small percentage in a large. Is a small
Vincent.
Fish in
Okay,
a very
so I want to ask you this question, so we can end this and move on to something else. So when will you, like, so you say this is a movement, right? When will you nothing happen? Like when? How long? 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? 5 years. Okay. So we'll revisit
2 years
this.
from now, you'll call me and we'll keep a.
No. We'll still be doing the show, and so we'll revisit this episode where we'll look back and we'll look at the
movement and see the progress of of Americans.
Sure.
Okay,
Like,
I'm in for that.
listen, man, because I'm gonna tell you, I remember when they named Martin Luther King Boulevard, and black folks were so happy. They said, "See, they recognizing us." And then you look at the crime statistics on Martin Luther King Boulevards all across the country. Not just in Newark and Jersey City, down by you, right? There's a Martin Luther King Boulevard in Camden, isn't it? I bet you there is.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
That Camden doesn't have. Really? Wow.
Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay. Philadelphia. What does it look like?
Actually, it looks pretty good.
Does it?
Nice. It's a huge. It's right by the park. It's well maintained. I mean, they've got a lot of entertainment and activities.
How far does it stretch beyond the park?
I think it's like 6 miles.
6 miles. Okay, so let's go to 5.5 miles away from the park. What does it look like?
5.5 miles away from the park puts you East Falls, which the average townhouse, as they call them, we call them row homes, is going at 150 to 300,000.
Okay. All right. I got Then if that's the case, if you're telling me,
That's inner city Philadelphia.
What direction are you going in? And see, I play Philly a little bit, right? And so I know something about it. Right now, which direction do you want to go in? See, if you go in certain directions to Philly, you don't even want to be outside your car.
I did a 5 mile. I know.
Certain sections of south, certain sections of north, you ain't going outside, right?
Well, that is not near Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Corrected on that. So Farrakhan, since I got you on the line, man, you've been posting a lot about what's been going on with the COVID-19 and the numbers and what the CDC is saying, what's being reported by other people. It's
I've been told because I'm looking at numbers, and I believe numbers don't lie, right? Like, if you understand the numbers, you can present the numbers any way you want, but if you present them wrong, I think that anybody looking at, again, we are now at 6 million cases, yet in the last 3 million, over 3 million new corona cases, we have less than 50,000 deaths, or around 50,000. I won't say less, I think it's actually 51,000 deaths, okay? So, whereas opposed to in the first 3 million, right, or in the first 2,900,000 and some change, you had 131,000 additional therapy. Since there's been no cure, right, and there's no vaccine, why are so many less people dying, okay, of this disease? And if you want to say because it's young people and there's a different demographic, and I can go with all of that.
But what it
doesn't argue is that it's not what it's being told it to be. And then when you look at the world numbers, and I did that today, right? I looked at today worldwide, out of the worldwide figure for mortality is about 21 out of every 29 infected persons. So with that said, and we are in the United States of America, the most traveled country in the world, right? It's a communicable disease, so it's a disease that you get from being in contact with others, right? That tells me that the United States isn't doing as poorly in control of the disease as the media would like you to think. That's all I'm trying to get across, that we're being lied to or we're being manipulated in the presentation of this disease. I'm not belittling it. I'm not saying that 100,000 deaths is 100,000, 200,000 deaths is like, that's 200,000 families, fathers and mothers, cousins, brothers. So understand, I know it affects people. I'm not questioning that. I'm questioning, is the presentation being given as a political narrative for whatever group and party? Listen to it through non-political, non-partisan assessment and cure, whatever you want to call it, for how to deal with it.
May I address that?
Sure.
Now, as we said in this show a couple of months ago, there's a big difference now when the virus started running rampant in New York, New Jersey, and the northern states to where we are. The big change is this: one, medical has gotten better at the treatment of it. Number two, they've started to now get the proper equipment that they need, and people have started to a lot more people have started to take it serious in terms of wearing masks and washing their hands. But what your study doesn't show, and I researched this with Johns Hopkins, who has been the leader in keeping accurate counts of what's been happening and the effects of this virus. What it did show is that the death count has decreased, but only in a majority white neighborhoods. In the black neighborhoods, the death count is barely dropping. So, you want to know about an assessment of it, a true assessment of it? It's still killing black people more than it's killing white people. Yet we still get these black people talking about, no, you ain't got to wear your mask. No, you ain't got to, I don't know, I want to go to a party. No.
Let's be clear. I don't know what you just said, so I will look it up, and I'll know it for later on in tomorrow's show. Okay?
Sure. You got to research Johns Hopkins.
Now, listen. Right. Now, and I'm going to do that. I'm not retarded. I know how to do it. Okay? What I'm going to say to you is, one, you never heard me say don't wear a mask. I wear a mask anywhere I go. What I want you to understand by me clarifying my position, okay, on that is, I'm not telling anyone to not do what is necessary to get at it fine.
Okay.
Do you not hear the person is agreeing with you and saying, hey, you still got to take all precautions? That's what I'm saying. But what I'm also saying is that, and maybe it's true, and well, as we already know, the numbers have always said that, Black America is getting the worst of the brunt, but we always get the worst of it, right? We always get the hardest part of it when it comes to anything. So,
right, like you said, America catch a cold, black people get a pneumonia.
Exactly.
Nah, we get COVID now.
Yeah, right now we get COVID, right? But here's the problem. Again, we're still looking at a narrative, okay, that's being manipulated. Okay, we don't, which also will do what? It will manipulate black folks. But what it's not telling them, what's interesting, there's one thing that they're not saying is, hey, Black America, you need to take special particular precautions because something, for some reason, is hitting you worse, right? See, they didn't say that in that same thing. Understand, the post that I put up this morning is information from Johns Hopkins because that's where CNN gets their information. When it gets their numbers, it gets them from Johns Hopkins. Okay, so again, Johns Hopkins isn't reaching out to you and I, telling us, hey, you better check yourself, you better protect yourself a little extra. So again, you're lying to me, you're manipulating me for a reason. But you're not telling black folks to protect themselves extra. I wonder why. They said that about senior citizens, right? They're like, oh my God, it's in nursing homes. You got to make sure that senior citizens, and that's one of the key reasons they tell healthy people to mask and wear gloves and all of that, right? That's what gets missed.
Well, let's look at a few things. First and foremost, in terms of people handling the COVID, you being a businessman and talking to you and some of the things you said on your show that you do in your barbershop, I had to point out to my barber to make sure that it get done. So I've never made you an advocate for not taking precautions. I've always made you the person who is doing things above and beyond so that people stay safe. The second thing is that, yes, and this is nothing new to Black America. We do not get 100% great representation. The other point that we have to look at, most importantly, and I talked to a friend of mine who's on ABC News, and she said, no, they are pushing the COVID. The news sources are pushing the COVID thing because Donald Trump is acting like it never existed and it's disappearing. And the reality is that it's not. We could have been out of this months ago if he took proper leadership. But the only thing he's doing is not admitting that he made a mistake, not doing anything to cover or fix the mistake. He's just basically saying, okay, I'm going to ignore it till it go away. And it's killing us. That's the whole thing. It is killing us. disproportionately killing us. That's my whole point.
Oh, okay. Well, again, here you go. You throw Donald Trump into it. And again, like I'm saying, Donald Trump's position isn't, I'm not going to say it's wrong. Okay, I'm not going to say that is he biased to a certain degree? Maybe so. But how can I say Donald Trump is wrong when I'm looking at numbers that aren't screaming out anything different than what he's saying? We got 6 million people infected, right? And here's the thing. By this date, by 250,000 people dead from it. So if I'm going by what he's done, if I'm going by how America has handled it, how it has affected America, we are better off than we were initially thought to be.
Really?
This is what Donald Trump. Let me finish. Now this is what Donald Trump is projecting. I can't argue it because it is actual fact. Right? The numbers are lower than what we thought they would be in September of this year. We should have 250,000 people dead from this disease if you go by what they told us in March. Fact or fiction?
Well, let's look at
Fact
this.
or fiction, Vince? Fact or fiction, Vince? It's just a yes or no.
I don't remember the numbers.
No.
No. See, I don't have a problem in arguing a point, but I'm not going to argue a point that I don't know anything about. Projections are designed in any business or any model to prepare people for either the worst or taking precautions to make it better. Now, the projections were there. A lot of people listened to it and started taking precautions. So it came in lower. I'm not going to argue that. But that's not saying that the projections are faulty. That's saying that people are looking at the projections and doing what they need to do to stay safe. The other thing is the worst thing that I could ever hear and Kool-Aid drinking from Donald Trump is believing what he said. He said it would go away. He said it won't affect us. And all he did was cover the fact that he defunded the advanced team for the CDC. Barack Obama, after conquering the sun, never read it.
Barack Obama didn't what you call it for SARS and MERS and all of them. You know what he did? He kept it in Africa.
Okay, so how did he keep it in? How did he keep it in Africa? How did he keep it in Africa?
That was ground zero 4. So what they tried to do, let me finish. That was ground zero 4. So what they did, was they structured their whole protection basis around keeping it to the African coast. Now it got out, as it always gets out, because it's a disease. As long as people travel, people want to catch it and bring it in the face. But they were able to keep the epicenter on the continent of Africa. What their strategies were, I'm sure they're not going to tell, and I don't have to. But I do know that that's the
this is what they, and let me add to what you're saying. He did not keep it in Africa. And got all those people and got treatment. And he had the advanced team, let me finish. Like you said, he had the advanced team working on it in Africa, which basically had a level of containment. Now, why could Donald Trump not do that? I can tell you.
He started in China. Right, let's be honest, right? He was not going to have access to control what happens in the borders of China. See, Africa, the poor experiment continent that it is,
Africa's the richest continent ever.
Hold on. It might be a mineral rich continent, but we're not going to have this debate. It might be minerally rich, but it damn sure is not financially rich. Financially, their minerals and the things that make the profits in their country go to all the other countries of the world. Right?
You've never been to Sun City.
Hold on. 90%, going back to our gold conversation, 90% of all the gold ever mined in Africa is now sitting in the vaults of other countries. Okay, so we're not going to say Africa is the wealthy country. The wealthy continent. Right? Let's be very clear about that. So let's just be honest. Okay, but again, like you said, they made sure, because they had the ability to keep it in Africa. Right, to reduce the traffic, to reduce the traveling, they could do those things. And then make sure that Africans didn't bring it over here. See, they can do that. Couldn't do that with China. Right, and that's why it's the way it's spread.
Fair comment. When it launched, when it got to the point where Donald Trump could no longer ignore it, He could have did the exact same thing. Send the doctors and scientists there. No, he didn't do that. He did not do that. But the virus, but America, and he could have sent his scientists there.
Okay, but you didn't say that he should have blocked Italy, right?
But he did block Italy.
If it came through Italy, then he should have blocked Italy. But then all the Italian Americans would have been like, "You telling me my cousins can't come in? Come on, man." Look,
he did not block Italy. He did not.
America wouldn't stand for it.
No, the only thing he did was block China.
For him blocking China, he could barely block China without backlash. He damn sure wasn't blocking any European country. I mean, I know you understand.
You mean to tell me the most powerful citizen in the known free world could not restrict traffic in and out of Italy when he did it for China? Come on, America.
Couldn't tell a state in his own
whole thing. Here is the whole thing. Okay.
Because right now, you're just viewing, okay? And it doesn't even make any sense.
Well, it's not making sense. It's not making sense to you because you don't want to appear to be wrong. But the issue and the fact is
I've been wrong about a lot of things in my life.
But we all have. And Farrakhan, we all been wrong. Trump was wrong. But when we're wrong, we can admit it and make changes to make it better. He was wrong, and all he did was sweep it under the rug and let everybody die.
That's not true.
That is true.
You let everybody die. Okay? First off, again, you
okay. So he didn't let everybody that died.
As we already know, this disease, which we are now dealing with, COVID-19, was well in the borders of this country.
Prove my point. You just proved my point.
No, the point is in November. I'm going to say it again. Please don't say my name until I say it.
Okay. In November.
Again, in November, okay, the world didn't see this as a threat yet. It was a thing privately held in China, because that's who was holding it quietly to themselves, right? And they were handling it the manner in which they were, while it was getting out and going all other places. So
can I address that?
No. They've gone back and said, well, wait a minute, we actually have cases in November. But that was before they even tested for or knew what the hell they were supposed to be testing for. So I'm going from, so to put it on the shoulders of Donald Trump, who I could care less about. Anybody that knows me will tell you I have never liked Donald Trump since I was a kid, like for a multitude of reasons, which we'll get into some other time. But that if you've ever been to my barbershop and had a conversation 5, 10, 15 years ago, you would know that I didn't like Donald Trump. Okay, so this is not about Donald Trump. Again, my point is I am not going with the media narrative of Donald Trump versus the world. That is not how I see this. I see this by facts, statistics, and numbers. And the facts are sure, go ahead.
First information in October, he decided that it was not worth him sending scientists down there. First part of the prevention process, because when Obama got the information about Ebola, he sent them immediately. The second thing, all right, we talked about this on the show when it just started popping away and hitting other countries, and they were talking about it. And we said on the show that no, it's already here, and it was, and that was in early November. That was in early November. We knew it on this show.
You have to yell. Don't have to yell. Nobody. You got the mic, man.
Okay, we knew about it on this show and said that it was already here. The country, the president chose to ignore that when everybody was screaming that it's here. Now, they just researched the first confirmed case that they could actually do now was back in October in California. It's been here. It's not the simple fact that the world didn't pay attention to it. Donald Trump didn't pay attention to it.
And so
he is the one that we elected to protect us.
You didn't have to yell. So I'll agree that Donald Trump knew. I will also say this, that they were looking at the economy. They were looking at the election. They rolled the dice and believed that it wasn't going to be as serious as it was. Then when it became serious, then it became a whole cover-up regarding it, right? That's what I believe happened. Now, I'll go further, and I've said this on the show before. After you now have to put some of the responsibility on the governors of other local elected officials regarding how they handled it. Because as the governors indicated, the president can't tell us what to do. So now, at the point that these governors had full awareness, we have to hold them accountable. You can't just say, well, whatever they did, whatever decisions they made are moot because we're going to go all the way back to November and we're going to say, Donald Trump. We're going to, yep, give Donald Trump all of that. Jody, if she's watching, is probably going to call in again. Oh, gosh. But, my thing is, give Donald Trump all of that. But you got to give these other elected officials, these state wide elected officials, you have to.
What's been happening since the governor started taking?
Do you not agree with that? No. I mean, but I'm asking. But before you go, but before you go into all of that, right? And you can go into it all. I'm asking you: do you think that they?
Let me make.
I know. I just said simple yes and.
Of culpability.
Okay.
Now, now, please let me finish. Are they passing the buck and saying Donald Trump? Some are, some aren't. But we're also looking at governors who like Cuomo and Murphy, who took an active stance in leadership in terms of shutting down, social distancing, doing everything they can to get the right protective equipment, following the scientists' data and research on how to handle it. And then we have governors who said, we're not closing down our state, we're opening up.
So now, for a governor who says, I'm not closing down my state, right? But thank goodness my friend was ill. He was ill on a whole nother issue. It had nothing to do with COVID-19, but was invited to this party and didn't go. 14 people contracted COVID-19.
When did it actually happen?
What do you mean? The party?
What time period did they contract
the party? Last week? Right, without a qualifier is where I have an issue. God damn it, Vincent. Those people went to a party. You can't even look and say, you know what?
If it was a no, I would say no. But for me, it's not.
Call or go.
Morning, Eric. How are you? Good.
Wait a minute, Jody. I was going to ask you, Jody. Jody, listen. I thank God that my friend Greg last week, and he called me because he does the farmers market for Grandma Emma's up in Vermont, right in Killington, and so he said, Eric, I'm not going to be able to, to take any cobbler up to Vermont. I don't feel well. He was aching and paining and such and such. So I said, oh, okay. And then I'm watching the news, and they're talking about this outbreak in Vermont of 14 people who had attended a party who contracted COVID-19. Right? So all I'm saying to Vincent is this. Yeah, give it to Trump. But damn it, I blame whoever the person was that came to the party. Well, for all of them, firstly, they were stupid, right? But the person who came to the party, I don't know if they knew that they were sick, if they were asymptomatic or had some symptoms, but decided to go and hang out. Like, I can't tie that to John, and I'm not going to try to tie that to Donald Trump. I'm not going to put 14 more COVID people on Donald Trump. I'm not going to do that, Vincent. That's all I'm saying. Like,
I agree.
Yeah. And that's all. I'm like, give him his shit. Yeah, pile it on him. But we gotta at some point say, yo, look, some other people did some stupid stuff too. That's it.
So the only thing that I will always argue and agree with Vincent on is this is the president of the United States. Started acting as if it was gone, like it was just something that happened.
That was irresponsible.
So reckless.
It was reckless.
And because he has stupid followers, right? that
like Jim Jones.
believe that craziness,
Yes.
right? Exactly. So, and that's how it will continue to spread, because there is a space of people who just believe whatever he says. Definitely Jim Jones.
Correct.
And in any space, right, I agree with you with the governors and not being government that run these school districts and acted as if they weren't necessary or important in the grand scheme of things.
So wait a minute, hold that thought for a second, Jody. So now, Vincent, I want to ask you this question.
Go ahead.
So the local government in New York, Jody, right, to essentially throw, and some of them dying, and some of them spreading it. Does Donald Trump get those bodies too? Where does it stop?
No, not at this particular point, because keep in mind, my wife is one of those teachers.
No, but see, I know, but I don't want it to be about your wife and not, you know.
I'm saying that, and I'm in the fight because it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
I've got a special interest in it because my wife is one of those teachers, and I will
Point
tell
taken.
you exactly. And I will tell you exactly what had happened. That okay, if we don't do this, we don't get our federal funding. What happened in my wife's district and in other the South Jersey, it's 100% safe, and we're not doing it. Our teachers are not going in. That's what happened.
It's still, to me, that's like excusatory behavior, right? Because I'm a parent, so I'm not a teacher. I got teachers in my family, but I'm a parent first, right? Listen, that's what you do, right? Since COVID time, I even had a part-time job, and I went to that job every day. That is what I do. That is the life that I've chosen, so that's what I do. So while I understand the fear of teachers, this is what you do. You strap up, you buckle up, and you go and you do the job in which you do, because when you don't, you leave millions of children's lives that you dated. You can't just let the whole country just like fellow into it, right? So I don't give teachers that excuse. And once you think of how it is seen in this political space, yeah, you're playing with the lives of my children. So I don't agree with that. And I can't blame Donald Trump for that. I don't think that, everything is Donald Trump's fault. Everybody knows. I think that Joker deserves to be out of the office. But we have to start being responsible enough, and that's been my only problem throughout this, is that call a spade, no matter what side it's on, no matter who it is, because that's the only way we'll move forward. And I gotta come
Hold on, Jody, real quick. Now, you are on the front line first responder. You're in the medical industry, and I want you to know that daily I pray for you and all of those people in that position. Now, I was a soldier, and we did not have that luxury of making a choice to fight or not to fight. When the battle started, we were there and we were fighting. However, now, because there's an apple and an orange there. But yeah, exactly. Which is the not preparing?
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying to you. That's what else. Piss poor preparation renders piss poor results, right? That was piss poor preparation, so it rendered my kids some piss poor results. I can't listen. If they're not kicking me back my pupil per capita and telling me to come to a school building to get some flubber supplies in order to keep my pupil per capita, then that was piss poor planning locally that affected millions of children across this country, and we can't make excuses for a teacher. Listen, you don't get to say, I've said this a million times, right? And good educators are in those schools today. Those are the ones that are standing in those classrooms looking at a computer screen trying to educate children. It's still teachers that no kids are in the school building, and they still saying, I ain't going into the school building. Come on, man. That's not, and you shouldn't have been a teacher. You should have opted to be a garbage man.
Jody, you signed a Hippocratic. You say the Hippocratic oath of to do no harm. I signed the oath to protect and serve. Teachers do sign that oath and believe in educating, not putting their life on the line for education. And yes, it was piss poor planning. I agree with that. And yes, everybody is now trying to come.
Okay, so I'm not going to argue against the dangers of COVID, but I'm going to say it again, right? I have never worked from home. I wore a mask, I wore my gloves, I wash my hands till they're a whole different consistency now, my little hands, because I did what I had to do to continue to work, right? I do not affect the lives of children. I don't affect their progress, but I still felt like I had to do what I had to do, right? So, no, they don't take an oath. Teachers don't stand up as the United States of America and put their the test to be a teacher, sit in classrooms, don't educate your children, and don't give a damn about our children, right? The real teachers are what they are. But I just got a couple of questions before I have to cut my lunch, right? Eric, when you were talking before about the protest and all of that, right? How do you...
You're chilling.
Hey, Farrakhan, put your phone on mute.
Okay, I thought it was my fault.
How do you gauge progress? Because I could say, no, the marches don't matter, right? The protests themselves don't matter. Time in my lifetime, right?
Right.
I could name numerous police departments who are in those areas which would most likely kill black men, right?
Right.
And there's been policy changes in that. Are we not gonna?
So first, when you say progress, how do I gauge progress? I'm first looking at what our interests are, or what my interests are, or what I believe the interests of black Americans need to be. To the wealth and power of corporation white supremacy. So our focus ought to be in seizing economic and political power. So that is the marker. That economic going, well, how this, and we did this. I'm going, okay, my perspective is they're advancing their agenda in terms of keeping us marginalized, right? So I'm going, so when you say progress, I look at those things again and go, don't see it. So whether we're talking about the educational institutions, we're talking about the incarceration disparities, we're talking about the income inequalities, right? We talk about the wealth gap, right? So in those areas, those critical areas, see, black faces, no black voices. So somebody say, oh, we made progress, we got more black mayors than, okay, let's look at those neighborhoods. They talk about, we have this. Well, I say, well, okay, well, let's look at it. Where are we when it comes to, like Farrakhan said, care about. See, so it is the other stuff, right? And even the policy.
Do you think that was the running of the muck of it? So all I'm saying to you is, the marches or the protests themselves started from this one issue. I am totally, it's just that police killing black people to stop these rogue police officers from doing X, right? And so we have gotten that, right? We've gotten some policy or legislative changes. But I say that was effectuated by the marches? No, because that's not what they were saying that it didn't. But for whatever purpose, whoever joined in on that was able to effectuate some policy and legislative changes, I have to consider that progress.
Okay, so again, what I'm going to say to you is this. No. Okay, like I said, Jody, if you got the white guy on the 20-yard line and we're on the 1-yard line, right? And then they move us to the 20-yard line, we say we made progress. But if they move the white guy from the 20-yard line to the 50-yard line, now it's relative, right? So I'm going, how did we do whatever it is they're giving us? Because see, the corporation white supremacy is brilliant, and we gotta not be distracted. So when we look change toward what our objective ought to be, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Gotcha. I got you.
I was waiting to go after Eric. I mean, that's
Actually,
kind of
I
like.
was, but you were just yelling the most.
Well, no, that's okay.
Well,
But we,
okay. But here's the.
I don't really want to have. Go ahead, make your statement to it.
Here's the thing. To answer to your question, Eric. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for asking for it. But let me give you another side, and I'll be really brief with this. We in our country had statues and monuments of traitors, of people who lost the war. Yet those people stood for the oppression of our race, keeping them down, which is one of the foundations of this of this institutional superiority. When we make them heroes. When we sit up here and look at their statues, can I giving these statues, honoring these people who wanted to oppress us, we consistently had keep their foot on our neck.
okay.
And I'm not saying that they ain't feel. The ability to give us a better quality of life is how I see progress.
Got it. Go ahead, Farrakhan.
Okay, two things. First off, Joey, I'm pretty sure you said during education, so maybe you'll have an answer for this. I'm pretty sure that we today have more black educators than we've ever had in this country. But are blacks getting the best education we've ever had? Because by your statement that, okay, so by your statement of, because you have more black police in charge of police departments, do you think we'll have a better policing of black communities and black people? I don't think the answer to that is
no. Listen, hell no. So just so you just understand, right? I am for black people, but I recognize black Matt, your mayor, and North is an asshole. I hate to use a Trump word, okay, but that's what it is. It's like absolutely. I'm never going to argue against that. I actually, Farrakhan, believe that we are so overtly disrespected and oppressed because they, our counterparts, have figured out that I kind of respect the person who says, why do I have to treat you better than you treat yourself, right? But we can't blame that on the corporation of white supremacy. We continue to us. So I work for North Public Schools. I work for North Public Schools in Human Resource Services. I actually hire teachers, right? My greatest disappointment in North Public Schools was when I realized that the district was separating all of the failed teachers who shouldn't be in classrooms, who we knew shouldn't be in classrooms, were sent to the South Ward and the West Ward, and the best teachers were sent to the North Ward and the East Ward. I watched that. I saw that. I knew that was true, and whenever I questioned it, I was pinned as a troublemaker. I had a black dude who was high as a kite. Was he a math teacher? A high school math teacher? Yes, he was. Oh, he was high as a kite. He would take for Malcolm X back the whole time. He preached to me twice. He's high. It was, send him to Malcolm X Shabazz. We need to fill a quota. She was a black woman. She knew that he was rendering education to black students, but she didn't care. So I only asked Eric that question because I just wanted to see where he was marking progress, right? And I do feel like it's not for nothing else. Because I see like the Black Lives Matter being painted. I see that as not marginal change. That's just
symbolism. What is a system that has been abusive to black people, and now we're going to say that this is our black guy, right? That police system, which this guy has excelled for 20 years in or for, right? Most of these who become the commissioners and the directors, right? They have 10, 20, 15 years in as a police officer protecting that very system that we want to fight. This isn't new blood, right? So when you think that we're actually making progress, what they actually have done is embedded folks dirty in those terms.
So listen, to me, that's not progress in a black neighborhood, right? That's not the progress. I'm specifically talking about legislative changes, right? In certain states, it has been adopted and chokeholds have become illegal, that's big, right?
Well, but wait, no. So let's take that, and we need to do an entire show on exactly the question you're asking. Chokeholds, right? So now no chokeholds, but he could put his knee on my neck. Right? Nope, can't put his knee on my neck, but he could body slam me and grab my hair like you saw the other police officer grab hair, right? So that's a shell game, right? So the real question is abuse, right? It's a culture. And so if we're treated towards us and each time they say, okay, well then we'll cancel that one. But we got 1,000 more ways to do it. But you know what I mean? So we'll kick the can down the road. So now we'll do it this way. And then we'll let you guys march and rally and protest once you get it on video. Then we'll stop doing that one. But we got 999 more ways to do it. I'm saying they're going to continue these things. And so progress, no. Because they were arguing the chokehold with Eric Garner. But then Mr. Floyd died from a knee in his neck. But at the end of the day, the thing that both of those cops had in common was an absolute disregard for black life. So if you're fighting for this thing and you're not focused over here, they'll give you that. That's a distraction.
Right, of the symptom, because we're not getting to their racist superior ideology that they can use excessive force on us. We're not getting around the street with an automatic weapon.
My question, can the disease be addressed through policy?
Yes.
Okay.
But here's the problem. I'm sorry.
No.
Absolutely not.
That's right. I don't believe it can.
Here's the hide or sidestep the disease, and all we do is make policy against the symptom. My brother was principal, and he went to Newark. He said the worst thing that he could ever do was go to Newark. One, he's not from Newark, so a lot of them didn't respect the politics, and two, it takes 3 years to fire a teacher.
So wait a minute. So Vincent, see, and I don't want, because this is going to take up the rest of the show. What you just said is why I keep saying I'm voting down ballot. Because Biden isn't looking at policy that's going to tear this fucking thing down, right? He's talking about symptoms. He's not talking about the disease. He's not, right? And so, to your point,
what I read, he's to Senate and to the House. They're going to do the same thing that they did to Obama.
No, because Vincent, let me tell you why I know he's not talking about the disease. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because the very party that is supporting him is attached to that tumor, right? And not talking about it. Says to me, he doesn't give a fuck about the disease. He is going to use the disease to get to where he wants to be. And all of the malignancies that are within that tumor, all of them, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, go down the list. He ain't talking about them. Write it, right? It was written through policymakers, and they put it on a website that he probably doesn't even know the URL for. Come on.
Really great policy writers, because they really did address a lot of the disease. Now, what I also will say is this. I don't know if he's just doing this to be elected, or whatever the case may be, but in our country, we have the ability to change.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man. Listen.
There are just as many good politicians looking to do what's fundamental.
Your phone is breaking up, Vincent. Vincent, I can't understand. I can't hear you. Breaking up.
Okay, well, I'll wait.
Well, Vincent can't be heard, right? You know what else, Eric? Is true. Well, let's say for us, right? The start or the fix of the disease, I believe, would be to fix us, right?
Yes.
I think we are like a really bad part of the disease. Probably,
yes, we are.
You know, that microcosm of how a disease starts would be black folks. Because when you talk about police, right, we only hear it And it only becomes a race issue, right? Because a white cop kills a black person. But those are black cops harassing black people.
Yes.
I was actually a part of that. Dirty black cops. It's not, when we say it's the blue, it is the blue. It doesn't have a color. Look how many on social media. I have so many cops on social media. And I mean, some of the most powerful black cops. Do you notice how they never say anything, even if it's a white cop putting his foot on a black man's neck? Those black cops don't say nothing. They don't take a stand because they consider that blue much more important to them than black and white and yellow and green. It's just a culture, like you said.
Correct.
So, and we're screaming on TV, right? Like, we're just abused by white cops. And that is not true.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
not true.
But this is why, again, I say, but this is why I say the corporation white supremacy is brilliant, because they lead you to believe that, right? And like you said, Jody, my question is, how many black cops are at these Black Lives Matter events?
I know 3.
Oh, that's because we got more black cops on the force, right? More than 3, right? So the progress is so acted in believing we made progress, because you look at a police force and you see more black faces. Ayanna Pressley, no more black faces without black voices, right? But now, when we're in the thick of it, and we need some people out there, right, rallying with us, my question is, where are these black faces on the police force that we were celebrating the fact that we had made some progress? Black faces are supporting those white voices.
Well, just like we have black politicians without representing the black
Sure,
voice.
we do.
We are not, once again, here is the brilliance of racism. They don't have to keep their knee on our neck. They can get us to do it for them. And the simple fact that we having black doesn't mean that it's going to be fundamentally good for black. Because you know what? I know a lot of black people that don't like black people.
Hey, Ben, how are you?
Yeah. And so I'm gonna post that on my page. Like, what do we all? And I know that as a community of black people, well, even saying community of black people, right? But black Americans are not monolithic, right? So, me getting to the 20-yard line is.
But Eric, if I could add to that. One of the things that kill us in terms of black progress is the simple fact that not only are we not monolithic, but sometimes we can be self-destructive. We have black people who are looking to make progress, yet other black people stand in their way and do everything to tear them down.
Well, this is true.
So you know what? And I'm always careful of people who I support, black or white. Because I don't
Isn't that society
in support of. Please, can I finish my question? Well, can you ask the question when I'm finished? You activate my ADD. So, oh my God.
I know. Go ahead, bitch.
So the whole issue actors. We have to look deep into what we're doing and talking about, because we don't want to be on the side of those bad actors. Okay, go ahead, Fair, because I forgot the rest I was going to say.
Well, I forgot what point I was actually going. No, I said, isn't that just any type of society? There's always people, pulling at someone who believes that they're making progress for people, right? There's always going to be somebody pulling in an opposite direction, saying, no, don't go that way. How do we function as a society? How do we become an independent society? I believe is the true question, right? Because, right, for anybody that steps out front. So I don't think you can look at it in terms of, you have black people trying to help and you got black people trying to destroy. There's always going to be that, right? There's always two sides to that coin. So the point becomes, how do we begin to create a society that benefits us without the manipulation
To answer your question, one of the things we have to do is figure out what is good for us and stop paying attention to what other people say is good for us. The other thing is that
you do. That's all you've done on the show is tell us what other people tell you is good for us.
that's not all that I do. What I do on this show is I look, I investigate, and I research. After I do that, then based upon what I believe, being black nationalist,
on webpage for or details on his lie.
well, you may consider it a lie. I don't. That's the whole thing. So based upon how I consider it and see it, I'll report that.
Okay.
Now, you could, and people can do one or the other. They can accept it for what it is, or they can reject it. Either way, I'm okay because I think I've done my thing for my black national stance of being pro-black and black advancement and movement, and then I'm good. So, if you want to know how,
really quickly to Farrakhan. So
I can hear you, darling. Jody, you dropped really low. I can't.
So I get that you live in a place that has been run by Democrats, and not just the place, right? That if you have any knowledge of even national politics, you've watched Democrats fail your people, right? So I understand that. I get that. And so
But no, Jody, I've watched America fail my people. See, I'm not going to take Democrat or Republican. I've watched America fail my people.
Just arguing a point, right? But so we're in this space now where it's kind of bubbled over. Like Eric said, black people are tired. Black people are exhausted with following this party because that's what's happening, right? Let's not act like that's not the issue, that we followed this party that has failed us so much. And so we're like, no. And I get that, right? But where you lose, at least me, is in the tenacity to fight that, which I get that's the scenario, right? If someone says something about the Republican Party or Donald Trump, no, I listened to you and Vincent early going back and forth, and he said something about Trump with COVID, and you were like, no, I'm not going to blame Trump on that. President of the United States, stuff trickles down from the top because of his failed leadership, because he's the only leader of the country. And you said something about I don't blame Trump because the numbers that the media are giving out are false. So if the media says 6 million Americans have it, what if it's 2 million? That's 2 million too many for any of us. Still makes him a failure. But I just feel like some of us are railing against the Democratic Party. Some of us are not even railing against a party. We're railing against a person, right? I'm not railing against really gonna take myself off of side late last night, and it was really about black folks fighting black folk as opposed to coming together. And
Sure.
There you go.
Thank you saying a country that failed a people, right? We definitely, if I could give anything to it, we definitely have to stop talking to one another with such animosity. We have to stop allowing them to pit us against one another, because we are definitely living in a fear-based state, and we know that either party is going to fail us. Vincent's tenacity to support the Democratic ticket right now comes from a place for black people. Let's not forget that. But Farrakhan's tenacity to rail against the Democratic Party comes from a place of loving his people.
I don't rail against the Democratic Party, Jody, at all. I rail against a narrative which says it's someone else. That's my problem, and I hear you. That enemy you're fighting with. Don't give up. You have to fight this fight. Like we all that know have to fight the fight.
I'm not fighting against the enemy on social media. I'm fighting against people that I respect, people that I love, people that I honor, people that I have had relationships. I have now broken off relationships that I respected because as you rail, I'm gonna rail. Because we both angry.
But that's okay. Jody, don't take it so personal, right? You got to fight. Listen, there's no leader that does not isolate somebody. Like there is nobody that stands in front. And God damn it, then you ain't said nothing true yet. Because the truth is going to annihilate, it's going to stand against 50% of something. Right? Because the truth is on one side and the bull is on the other. If you are speaking the truth, then stand for it to every inch of your body, to every all your being. Don't ever back down on that. I respect that about you. Right? You remind me of women in my family who, the story that I've heard you speak on this show, okay, I've seen those women go through. So I'm going to say to you, and they fought to the end. Some of them died young, maybe because they gave too much of their energy to the bull. But I'm telling you, if you ever step to the side or back down from your cause, then the first thing you got to ask yourself, was the cause even worth it? Because if the cause was worth it, then you go all the way to the end.
Oh, I
think Joey,
very cantankerous. The space is made. Listen, I'm never trying to make any no people my enemy. Like that's not my space, right? But I feel you get that passion, it riles up in your belly. You feel like it's your duty. I don't like some of the things I see from people, but I'm not trying to alienate, right? And I'm not trying to get in a bubble. All I'm saying is we are all definitely, with all the disagreements, with all the different spaces we sit in, I do believe, as Eric would say, white supremacy is very good at it, and it definitely has black people battling right now, killing each other verbally, assassinating.
Right, but you know what though? But no. But listen to me. No. Wait, one sec.
5 minutes ago, you said you went to hell with me about me speaking over you.
Wait a minute.
Let this woman speak.
Wait a minute. So here's the
point.
Please.
And Bobby against me speaking.
Right. So right. So Jody. So here's the deal, right? You have within the black community, I would say that you are an antibody, right? So there's a virus, and then the virus mutates, right, to try to fool the body. And that mutation, we called on the show many months, understand, and then your antibodies can where the enemy is or what the enemy looks like. So it actually looks like, it's another black person, right? Or it looks like something that should be a healthy cell. You have to fight it, right? And so, I understand. It's a danger, right? And your instinct was correct. And now you want to go against what your instinct was, which was to protect, right? And we have to always be on the side of protecting. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. But if you give in to your instinct to protect because you're trying to preserve something that is harmful, right? Because your instinct said this is harmful, and so now you say, but I want to protect that thing that is harmful. That kind of goes into this whole Stockholm syndrome thing that we talk about, right? Where the abuser, that we have been conditioned to say we want to have this relationship with this abuser or this abusive thing. Right, at the expense of the thing. So when we on the show talk about the psychoses, the socially transmitted diseases in our community, all of these things are that's all. That's what you have to do is pause and say, well, was the fight worth it? Because I was in it. right? I was in it. And then when you look at it and you realize what you were fighting for, right? And what you're willing to stop fighting for to try to preserve, right? My father said, those who we don't let die won't let us live.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
You understand? And so it's painful. It is painful. You know, my grandmother used to say to me, you know, your trees and your plants and all those things grow when you prune them, right? And so life is about pruning. You know.
Here, Julie, if I can. Here was the brilliance of white supremacy played out through the lie. Okay, because half of the truth is still alive. And when he did that, what it did was it licensed other people, even though they know that it's not right, to actually fall under that. That's what I call drinking the Kool-Aid. And, you know, Eric, myself, you know, Diane, we get on the show and we say things that are not going to be popular, but they need to be said because they are true. And when you let someone, when you let your popularity or wanting to be liked or liked stand in the way of telling somebody what is true, then they win. The supremacy of it wins because you don't want people to fight win. They win, and their propaganda continues to go, and our progress therefore stops. Keep fighting for the truth.
Yeah.
What's missing here?
Look, Dr. King fought that. Look, Dr. King. They said he was so despondent toward the end of his life, with the degree of abandonment by people that were real close to him, right? That he had, you know, how he had gotten himself fully dressed and couldn't leave the room, crawl right back into bed with his suit and shoes and overcoat. It's not easy. You know, the fight is not easy.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
I agree with facts. And everybody has their truth, but the facts can be something completely different. So fight for the facts and hear for the facts. I think what Vincent said was Vincent got a truth, right? What they're trying to do, right, is we're trying to have a dialogue that builds the facts, right? And let people live their truth from those facts. Yeah. And that's what you want to do. And show the world something, always let them do it, right? And if you yourself got one to say or one to prove it. And if people like it, people don't like it, screw them. Who cares? The king. In his last days, he knew one thing for sure. Don't matter who you pissed off. If you piss your mama off. But if you say to your mama, but mama, I was right. I told you the truth, and I showed you the truth. I showed you a fact. That's it. Right? Either your mama going to be mad at you or she not. You know what I'm saying? My father had to do that when he decided he wanted to be a Muslim. Right? Because he's Christian and Baptist family. You know what I'm saying? It was the same thing when they was pissed when he said, my name is not Johnny Howard. My name is Sawab. Abdullah Sawab. Okay? And that's what you're going to call me. You know? And that's what he had to say in 1950 or Johnny Boy. They look at him and they'd be like, all right, sweet, Sawab, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you got this Camden or wherever the hell you are.
I hope that you're prepared for what you are going to find, brother.
I'm prepared. I'm a fully prepared person.
Good. Because I'm speaking to you as a...
I show you respect. Show it to me.
Farrakhan, you yelled at me about something that was very
true. A lot of things. Okay?
But Farrakhan, here is the
time and time again.
And I'm giving you
but I tell you what,
Farrakhan, let me say
conversation off the show.
Who will you ever be? What is my enemy is stuff that will lead people down a path of destruction. What is my enemy? What is my enemy is evil. You I love. I love you with the love of Jesus. Now, we can disagree, and that's not a problem. And we cannot back down from our position. That's not a problem. But we cannot be enemies because I don't wrestle or fight with flesh and blood. I wrestle and fight with principalities and wickedness in high places. Those people who can make decisions and cause millions and hundreds of thousands of people to lose their lives. I wrestle with those who are basically